What is this? What is this? What is this? What's up, guys? There's a lot of stuff up for discussion today. So we have gun violence in Toronto up for discussion, police brutality, and basically the protests going on. So let's get right to it. With all this stuff going on, I feel like as an influencer, it's my job to bring this to your guys' attention. There are so many things going on right now besides the COVID-19 pandemic. Just thinking about it could give somebody a panic attack. Let's talk about the violence in Toronto. Everyone hears this, but why is it so hard for everyone to support each other? Why is it so hard to do something that is so free? I've lived in multiple cities and I find that the culture in the greater Toronto area is just different, a little bit more hostile, and it's almost like it's so uncool to support each other, which is crazy. Now, I'm not saying everybody is on the same wave. I'm just saying that I do get a lot of I don't want to see other people from my city win vibes from a lot of people. I feel like people just don't want to see other people do better than them. They feel threatened, and that just creates a competitive environment. This story hit hard. He was such a hardworking and talented individual. It's just so sad that another life full of potential is lost to gun violence. I actually knew him. He was like one of the only, if not the only person to show me love when I first moved to the greater Toronto area. I can definitely say that I have witnessed more dark stories, more dark experiences, situations than I've ever had in my life living here in the greater Toronto area. Like, I know more people than I have fingers who have been affected by gun violence. Why can't you guys sort out your differences this way? And the sad part is that the cycle is probably going to continue because more people would feel the need to carry around guns to protect themselves because they just simply don't feel safe. I'm literally afraid to go out now because can you imagine a rookie with no sense of aim shooting in public places? Bruh. Can you imagine ever being affected by gun violence just because somebody couldn't sort out the differences in a private area, if not at all? I would definitely advise everybody who's watching to stay away from people who have nothing to lose. Stay away from people that you sense are just jealous and who just don't put in any work, because those type of people will kill your dreams. The takeaway from that is, Toronto, can we show each other love? It does not cost a thing, and we are all that we have. Besides the gun violence in Toronto, the police brutality right now is pretty much a bummer as well. If you're not quite familiar with George Floyd or Reggie Korchinski-Paquette, I'm just going to give you guys a little rundown. In the George Floyd case, a police officer detained a man and basically knelt on him, on his neck to be specific, for about 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Despite his pleas of him not being able to breathe, despite the bystanders' pleas, which ultimately killed the individual. So a lot of people are pushing for this police officer to be charged and handled with because this was extreme and it was just so uncalled for. There are protests and riots going on all over the United States because of the situation. And honestly, it's not only just because of the situation, it's that there have been multiple situations and people are just fed up. In the Regis Korchinski-Paquette case, a police officer allegedly pushed a woman out of an apartment building where she plunged to her death. And he called it suicide. The family of the young woman claims that the police officer also told the news not to come. That is effed up. The common thing in both of these cases is both of the victims are African American. As Will Smith said, racism isn't becoming worse. It is just being filmed. Racism has been along for so long and it has not stopped. It is literally 2020 and racism is still a thing. That is crazy. And I've seen a lot on social media, people are asking questions like why all this kerfuffle over, just one case. That is besides the point. The point is that African Americans are tired of feeling less. We are tired of being underestimated. We are tired of being looked down on. We are tired of the justice system failing us. That is what it is, simply put. And that is where the problem also lies, because people think that it's something so minuscule. No, the first step is to understand the magnitude of this problem. And that's the reason why there's so many protests, so many riots going on. It's because we want to finally be heard. This might be the next revolution. You do not have to be African American to advocate for this. If you are not a minority, or even if you're a minority but you're not African American, and you haven't taken the time to advocate for this on social media, or just to take the time to educate and enlighten the people around you, then there is something wrong. You don't have to be the same color as me to advocate. You just have to be human, because this is a human issue. We need everybody on the same page and not against each other. I actually saw some crazy news that police undercover cops were exposed to have started fires and broke into stores on their very own. I feel like this is so much more bigger than us. I feel like they wanted to control the narrative and discredit the protesters so that other people would have a negative and violent view on these protesters. To put it in explicit terms, I believe that they are discrediting Black people and the reason for their protest. And to all those protesters who claim they're protesting by looting, shame on you. You are not protesting, you are just simply being selfish and taking advantage of the situation. I really hope things can change. It is so sad that these things are still happening in 2020. Between COVID-19, riots that might start a revolution, and the loss of legends, 2020 has been a hefty year. It's safe to say that the kids of the future have a lot of cramming to do because there's lots of content to study for. I'm seeing in the future 2020 being a hefty unit in the history textbooks. What is your take on everything that's going on, and do you think it's going to get better anytime soon? I want to know in the comment section below, what do you think? Don't forget to take time off of social media as well, as this news can be overwhelming and toxic. Thank you so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye.